The unexpected allies. The grand halls of the Galactic Council chambers fell silent as Zix-Era, the last surviving elder of the Nilari people, hobbled to the center podium. Her iridescent scales, once a source of pride for her species, now hung dull and lifeless from her frail form. The gathered representatives of 100 alien races watched with a mix of pity and discomfort as she raised a trembling hand to activate the universal translator. Esteemed members of the council, Zix-Era's voice crackled through the device. I come before you today not as an equal, but as a supplicant. The Nilari face extinction. A collective gasp rippled through the chamber. The Vroktar swarms have consumed 3 of our colony worlds. Our home planet stands as the last bastion of our civilization, but our defenses crumble with each passing cycle. The Vroktar, a name that sent shivers down the spines of even the most battle-hardened races. These insectoid creatures operated with a hive mind, devouring entire worlds to fuel their endless expansion. Many in the chamber had lost colonies to their relentless advance. We implore you, Zix-Era continued, her voice breaking. Send aid. Our scientists have developed a toxin that could turn the tide, but we lack the means to deploy it effectively. Without your help, the Nilari will be nothing more than a footnote in galactic history. Murmurs filled the chamber as representatives conferred with their advisors. The Araxians, known for their advanced weaponry, were the first to respond. While we sympathize with your plight, their delegate said, mandibles clicking in agitation, engaging the Vroktar directly would invite their wrath upon our own worlds. We cannot risk it. One by one, the major powers of the galaxy echoed similar sentiments. The Valerians cited non-intervention policies. The Zentari claimed their forces were stretched too thin. Each refusal seemed to age Zix-Era by years. As hope dwindled, an unexpected voice rang out from the back of the chamber. The humans will help. All eyes turned to the source, a stocky, pink-skinned creature in a simple uniform. Captain Sarah Chen of Earth stood tall, her dark eyes blazing with determination. Laughter erupted from several delegations. The Zentari ambassador sneered. The humans, what can your primitive species possibly offer? You've barely mastered faster-than-light travel. Chen strode forward, undeterred by the mockery. We may be newcomers to the galactic stage, but we know a thing or two about fighting against overwhelming odds. Humanity has faced extinction-level threats before and survived. We volunteer our ships, our soldiers, and our ingenuity to aid the Nilari. The chamber erupted in chaos. Many delegates protested, citing humanity's reputation for recklessness and their limited technology. Others simply scoffed at the idea. Zix-Era, however, locked eyes with Captain Chen. In that moment, she saw something she hadn't dared hope for. A genuine willingness to help, unburdened by political maneuvering or self-interest. I accept, Zix-Era declared, silencing the chamber. If the humans are willing to stand with us, we would be fools to refuse. Chen nodded solemnly, then turned to address the council. We'll depart immediately. Any race willing to join us is welcome. To those who choose to stand aside, watch closely. You might learn something about courage. As Chen and Zix-Era exited the chamber, followed by a handful of junior representatives from smaller races intrigued by the humans' boldness, the Galactic Council buzzed with disbelief and speculation. Aboard her ship, the UES Horizon, Captain Chen wasted no time. She opened a channel to Earth's recently established Extraterrestrial Defense Command. Admiral Rice, this is Captain Chen. Request immediate authorization for Operation Longshot. Yes, sir. The situation is dire. But I believe this is our chance to prove humanity's worth to the galactic community. More importantly, it's the right thing to do. Within hours, a small but determined fleet of Earth's most advanced ships assembled. As they prepared to jump to the Nilari home system, Chen addressed her crew and the accompanying vessels. Men and women of Earth, we embark on a mission unlike any in human history. The odds are stacked against us. The enemy we faced has brought mighty empires to their knees. But in our short time among the stars, we've learned that the galaxy is filled with wonders and horrors. Today, we have a chance to preserve one of those wonders and stand against the horrors." She paused, her voice filled with emotion. "We go to fight not just for humanity's place among the stars, but for the very ideals that define us. Compassion, determination, the unshakable belief that in our darkest hour, heroes will rise. Let's show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." As the human fleet vanished into the swirling vortex of hyperspace, the fate of two civilizations, one ancient and fading, one young and bold, hung in the balance. The galaxy watched, waited, and wondered if the audacity of these newcomers would prove to be their salvation or their doom. The daring plan. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace on the fringes of the Nilari home system, immediately greeted by a scene of devastation. The outermost planet, once a thriving mining colony, was now a barren husk. Massive Vroktar high ships loomed in the distance, their organic forms a stark contrast to the sleek lines of human vessels. Captain Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, her face grim as she surveyed the tactical displays. Beside her, Elder Zixara's eyes were wide with a mixture of fear and hope. "Your people's last stand?" Chen asked softly. Zixara nodded. "Our homeworld, Nilara, lies at the heart of the system. Our remaining ships and orbital defenses are all that stand between the Vroktar and total annihilation." Chen's tactical officer, Lieutenant Raj Patel, cleared his throat. "Captain, preliminary scans show the Vroktar outnumber us at least 20 to 1. Their technology appears to be significantly advanced." A tense silence fell over the bridge. Chen closed her eyes, took a deep breath, then snapped them open with renewed determination. "Well then, we'll just have to be smarter. Zixara, tell me about this toxin your scientists developed." The elder gestured to a crystalline vial she wore around her neck. "It targets the Vroktar's hive mind. In theory, it should disrupt their ability to coordinate, turning their greatest strength into a weakness. But to be effective, it needs to be dispersed directly into the atmosphere of their primary high ship." Chen raised an eyebrow. "Into the atmosphere? You mean we'd need to get inside their ship?" Zixara's scales shimmered with embarrassment. "Yes, it's why we couldn't deploy it ourselves. Our ships are no match for theirs in direct combat." A slow smile spread across Chen's face. "Then it's a good thing you've got us. Humanity has a long and colorful history of getting into places we're not supposed to be." She turned to her crew. "All right, people, time to think outside the box. I want ideas, no matter how crazy they sound." For the next hour, the bridge of the horizon became a whirlwind of creativity. Ideas were proposed, debated, and discarded in rapid succession. Finally, Lieutenant Patel spoke up, his voice hesitant but excited. "What if we Trojan horse them?" Chen leaned forward, intrigued. "Go on." Patel's words tumbled out in a rush. "The Vroktar consume everything, right? What if we let them eat one of our ships? We could hollow out the Horizon's sister ship, the Endeavor, fill it with our best strike team and the toxin, then let the Vroktar tractor it in. Once inside, the team deploys the toxin and causes havoc from within." The bridge erupted in a mixture of shocked gasps and excited murmurs. Chen stroked her chin, considering. "It's insane and brilliant. Zixara, would it work?" The elder's eyes gleamed. Yes, I believe it would. The Vroktar's hunger overrides their caution. They would not expect such a tactic." Chen nodded decisively. "Then that's our play. We'll need volunteers for the strike team. It'll be a one-way trip for the Endeavor." To everyone's surprise, the ship's AI, Araya, chimed in. "Captain, if I may, I could pilot the Endeavor remotely. It would free up space for more of our soldiers and eliminate the need for a suicide mission." Chen smiled. "Brilliant, Araya. You've just volunteered for the most important role in this operation." She turned to her communications officer. "Get me a line to every ship in the fleet. It's time to brief everyone on Operation Trojan Horse. As the plan took shape, the mood aboard the human ships transformed. Fear gave way to determination, uncertainty to purpose. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but now they had something the Vroktar could never understand. A crazy, brilliant, uniquely human plan. Over the next 12 hours, the Endeavor was gutted and prepped. A strike team of 50 of Earth's finest soldiers was assembled, led by the legendary Marine Colonel Akira Tanaka. The ship was rigged with hidden compartments, sensor-blocking materials, and enough firepower to start a small war. As the final preparations were made, Chen addressed the fleet one last time. This is arguably the most audacious mission ever attempted by human forces. The risks are enormous, but so are the stakes. Every one of you is a volunteer, and every one of you is a hero. Whatever happens next, know that you stand for the very best of humanity. She paused, her voice thick with emotion. To the strike team, Godspeed and good hunting. To the rest of the fleet, our job is to sell this deception and keep the Vroktar's attention divided. Fight smart, stay alive, and let's make history. With a final salute, Chen watched as the Endeavor, now little more than a hollow shell hiding Earth's best hope, began its lonely journey towards the Vroktar fleet. The rest of the human ships spread out, preparing for the battle that would determine the fate of two civilizations. As the Endeavor drew closer to the massive Vroktar high ship, Chen whispered a quiet prayer. The galaxy thinks we're primitive, reckless, and naive. Let's show them what humanity can really do. The trap was set, the die was cast, and the most daring plan in human history was about to unfold. Against all odds, the UES Endeavor drifted silently through space, its engines cold, life support systems offline. To all external scans, it appeared to be a derelict vessel, easy prey for the voracious Vroktar. Inside its hollowed-out hull, Colonel Akira Tanaka and her strike team waited in tense silence, their breath fogging the visors of their advanced stealth suits. Status report, Tanaka whispered into her comm. Toxin dispersion units primed and ready, came the reply from Dr. Ilara Singh, the xenobiologist responsible for weaponizing the Nilari toxin. Demo charges set throughout the ship, added Sergeant Wei Chen, the team's explosives expert. Tanaka nodded, though no one could see it in the darkness. Remember, people, once we're inside that high ship, we'll have approximately 30 minutes before our presence is detected. Every second counts. As if on cue, the Endeavor shuddered. Tanaka's heart raced. This is it, braced for impact. The massive Vroktar high ship loomed ever closer, its organic tendrils reaching out to ensnare the seemingly helpless human vessel. With a sickening lurch, the Endeavor was pulled inside the cavernous maw of the alien craft. Meanwhile, aboard the UES Horizon, Captain Sarah Chen watched the operation unfold with bated breath. Araya, status of the Endeavor. The AI's calm voice filled the bridge. The Endeavor has been successfully captured by the Vroktar high ship, Captain, initiating Phase 2 of Operation Trojan Horse. Chen nodded grimly. All ships, commence attack pattern Delta. Let's give our friends inside some cover. The human fleet sprang into action, ships darting in complex patterns as they unleashed a barrage of weapons fire on the Vroktar fleet. It was like gnats attacking elephants, but the goal wasn't victory, it was distraction. Back inside the high ship, Colonel Tanaka and her team moved swiftly through pulsing organic corridors. The interior of the Vroktar vessel was a nightmarish blend of technology and biology, with living circuitry running through fleshy walls. 5 minutes in, Tanaka reported quietly. No sign of resistance yet. Singh, how close are we to the central atmospheric processor? Before Singh could answer, a piercing shriek filled the air. Around the corner, a group of Vroktar drones appeared, their insectoid eyes glowing with malevolence. Contact, Sergeant Chen yelled, opening fire with his plasma rifle. The corridor erupted into chaos as the human strike team engaged in close-quarters combat with the alien horde. Tanaka's voice cut through the din. Push through. We can't afford to get bogged down here. The humans fought with desperate intensity, their advanced weapons and training giving them an edge against the numerically superior Vroktar. But with each passing minute, more aliens converged on their position. Outside, the space battle raged. The human fleet danced between massive Vroktar ships, using their superior maneuverability to stay just out of reach of the aliens' devastating weapons. But they were taking losses. The UES Intrepid exploded in a brilliant flash, taking 2 Vroktar cruisers with it. On the Horizon's bridge, Captain Chen gripped her command chair tightly. Status of the Endeavor team. Araya's voice was tinged with concern. I've lost contact with Colonel Tanaka's team, Captain. The Vroktar are generating significant interference. Chen's jaw clenched. Keep trying. They have to succeed. The fate of 2 species depends on it. Inside the Hive ship, Tanaka's team had suffered casualties. Of the original 50, only 38 remained. They had fought their way to a vast chamber that seemed to pulse with the very heartbeat of the ship. This is it, Dr. Singh gasped, her suit stained with alien ichor. The atmospheric processor. We need to release the toxin here. As Singh moved to set up the dispersal unit, a new sound filled the air. A psychic scream that brought the humans to their knees. At the far end of the chamber, a massive figure emerged. Unlike the drones they had faced, this creature radiated intelligence and malice. The Vroktar Queen had arrived. Protect Singh. Tanaka roared, raising her weapon. Whatever happens, that toxin has to be released. The Queen's psychic assault battered their minds as her guards swarmed forward. The humans fought with everything they had, their weapons blazing, but they were being overwhelmed. Sergeant Chen fell, his chest torn open by alien claws. Dr. Singh stumbled, the dispersal unit slipping from her grasp. As it clattered to the floor, the vial of toxin cracked. Time seemed to slow. Tanaka saw their mission, their one hope, about to slip away. With a primal scream of defiance, she lunged for the broken vial. Outside, the human fleet was on the verge of annihilation. Captain Chen watched in horror as ship after ship winked out of existence on her tactical display. "Araya," she said softly, "prepare to transmit all our data back to Earth. They need to know what happened here." As she spoke, the massive Vroktar high ship suddenly shuddered. Arcs of energy began to dance across its surface. Chen leaned forward, hardly daring to hope. "Araya, what's happening?" The AI's voice was filled with wonder. "Captain, I think they did it." Inside the Hive ship, Colonel Tanaka stood amidst the chaos, her hand bleeding where she had grasped the broken vial. She had manually released the toxin, exposing herself in the process. Around her, the Vroktar Queen and her minions writhed in agony as the toxin took effect. Tanaka's vision blurred, her own body reacting to the alien substance. But as she fell to her knees, a smile crossed her face. "Mission accomplished," she whispered. As the Vroktar fleet fell into disarray, their hive mind shattered. The surviving human ships pressed their advantage. The tide of battle had turned, but at a terrible cost. The galaxy watched in awe as the supposedly primitive humans, against all odds, did what no other race had managed. They had broken the Vroktar. But the battle was far from over, and the price of victory was yet to be fully paid. The turning point. The Vroktar hive ship's internal systems went haywire as the toxin spread through its atmospheric processors. The massive vessel began to list, its coordinated swarms of fighter craft suddenly erratic and confused. Across the battlefield, other Vroktar ships showed signs of distress, their hive-mind connection severely disrupted. Captain Sarah Chen, her uniform stained with sweat and her eyes red from exhaustion, leaned forward in her command chair. "This is our chance," she declared, her voice hoarse but determined. "All remaining ships, concentrate fire on the Hive ship's main propulsion systems. Araya, can you re-establish contact with Colonel Tanaka's team?" The AI's response was tinged with regret. "Negative, Captain. I'm detecting massive internal damage to the high ship. If any of our team survived, they're likely trapped." Chen closed her eyes for a moment, allowing herself a brief second of grief for the brave souls who had sacrificed everything. When she opened them again, they blazed with renewed determination. "Then we make sure their sacrifice wasn't in vain. All ships, engage." The remnants of the human fleet, battered but unbroken, surged forward. They darted between the confused Vroktar vessels, their weapons finding weak points that had never before been exposed. One by one, the alien ships began to fall. Inside the high ship, Colonel Akira Tanaka fought against the effects of the toxin, her vision blurring as she tried to rally her remaining team members. "We're not done yet," she growled, staggering to her feet. "Sing, Chen, anyone still breathing. We need to make sure this ship never flies again." Dr. Ilara Singh, her face pale but determined, nodded weakly. "The ship's core. If we can overload it, we can take out the entire high ship, and maybe even some of the surrounding fleet." Sergeant Wei Chen, nursing a badly injured arm, managed a grim smile. "One last bang for the road, eh, Colonel?" Tanaka nodded, her eyes gleaming with fierce pride. "Let's show these bugs what happens when they mess with humanity." As the surviving members of the strike team fought their way through the writhing mass of confused Vroktar drones, the space battle outside reached its crescendo. Captain Chen's tactics were paying off. The human ships, though fewer in number, were running circles around their disorganized foes. "UES Challenger, watch your six," Chen barked into the comm. She watched as the agile human frigate narrowly avoided a collision with a flailing Vroktar cruiser. The alien ship, its crew unable to coordinate properly, careened into one of its own allies, both erupting in a spectacular explosion. Aboard the Nilari homeworld, Elder Zixera and her people watched the battle unfold with a mixture of awe and hope. "By the ancient stars," Zixera whispered, her scales shimmering with emotion. "They might actually do it." Back on the high ship, Tanaka's team had reached the core, a massive, pulsating organ that seemed to be the heart of the vessel. Dr. Singh immediately set to work, her hands flying over alien control surfaces as she attempted to initiate an overload. "How long?" Tanaka asked, her breathing labored. Singh shook her head. "Minutes, maybe less. But Colonel, there's no way to set a timer. Someone has to stay behind to make sure it goes off." A heavy silence fell over the team. Then Sergeant Chen stepped forward. "I'll do it. My arm's busted anyway. I'd only slow you down on the way out." Tanaka opened her mouth to protest, but Chen cut her off with a sad smile. "It's been an honor, Colonel. Now get out of here and make sure we didn't die for nothing." With a final salute, Tanaka led the remainder of her team towards the escape pods, leaving Chen to his fate. As they ran, the ship began to shake violently. In space, Captain Sarah Chen watched in amazement as the massive high ship began to break apart from within. "All ships, pull back," she ordered. "Something big is about to." Her words were cut off as the hive ship exploded in a blinding flash of light. The shockwave rippled out, catching several nearby Vroktar vessels and tearing them apart. When the light faded, where once had been the heart of the alien fleet was now nothing but debris. A stunned silence fell over the human fleet. Then, gradually, cheers began to erupt across every comm channel. Captain Chen allowed herself a small smile before turning to her tactical officer. "Status of the remaining Vroktar forces." They're retreating, Captain," the officer replied, his voice filled with disbelief. "Without their high ship, and with their neural network disrupted, they're falling back to regroup." Chen nodded, feeling the weight of command settle heavily on her shoulders. "Pursue, but maintain caution. I want a full damage report from all ships. And someone get me a secure line to Earth. They need to know what's happened here." As the human fleet moved to secure their hard-won victory, Rescue shuttles were dispatched to search for any survivors from the Endeavour team. Against all odds, they found a single escape pod drifting in the debris field. Inside, barely clinging to life, was Colonel Akira Tanaka. The battle was over. The Vroktar threat, while not entirely eliminated, had been decisively broken. Humanity, the underestimated newcomers to the galactic stage, had done what no other race thought possible. As news of the victory spread across the stars, the galaxy looked at humanity in a new light. The primitive species had proved themselves to be resourceful, brave, and capable of greatness. The balance of power in the cosmos had shifted, and at its center stood the unlikely heroes from Earth. But even as celebrations began, Captain Sarah Chen knew that this was just the beginning. Humanity had earned its place among the stars, but with that came new responsibilities, new challenges, and the watchful eyes of a galaxy that would never again underestimate the power of human determination. The dawn of a new era had begun, forged in the crucible of an impossible victory. A new understanding. In the weeks following the Battle of Nilara, as it came to be known, the galaxy buzzed with activity. The Galactic Council, once dismissive of humanity, now clamored for information about the species that had achieved the impossible. On Earth, parades and celebrations filled the streets of every major city. Humanity had faced its first true extraterrestrial threat and emerged victorious. But in the halls of power, leaders grappled with the implications of their newfound status in the galactic community. Aboard the UES Horizon, now orbiting Nilara, Captain Sarah Chen stood before a panel of holographic projections, the highest-ranking officials of Earth's government and military. The Vroktar threat has been neutralized, but not eliminated, Chen reported. Their retreat has given us, and the Nilari people, time to breathe, but we must remain vigilant. Admiral Rice, his holographic form flickering slightly, leaned forward. And what of our allies? How have the other races reacted to our victory? Chen allowed herself a small, wry smile. With shock, mostly. The Araxians have extended an offer of technological exchange. The Zentari are suddenly very interested in joint military exercises. And the Valerians, well, they're pretending they supported us all along. A ripple of laughter passed through the assembled leaders. And the Nilari? Asked the President of the United Earth Government, her eyes sharp with interest. Chen's expression softened. Grateful beyond words, Madam President, Elder Zix Era has formally requested an alliance with Earth. They're offering to share their advanced biotech in exchange for our protection and assistance in rebuilding their civilization. The implications weren't lost on anyone. Humanity, in one fell swoop, had gone from galactic newcomers to a major power broker. There's more, Chen continued. Word of our victory has spread. We've received messages from a dozen previously unknown species, all seeking dialogue or alliance. It seems our actions have inspired hope in those who've lived in fear of the Vroktar for centuries. The President nodded slowly. A great opportunity. And a great responsibility. Captain Chen, your insights will be crucial as we navigate these new waters. I'm promoting you to Admiral, effective immediately. You'll oversee our new Galactic Diplomatic Corps. Chen blinked in surprise. Madam President, I'm honored, but I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. The President's hologram smiled. You're a hero, Sarah. And right now, that's exactly what humanity needs on the galactic stage. As the meeting concluded, Chen found herself alone on the bridge, staring out at the stars. So much had changed in so little time. Her musings were interrupted by Araya's voice. Admiral, Colonel Tanaka is awake. She's asking to speak with you. Minutes later, Chen stood beside Tanaka's bed in the Horizon's medical bay. The colonel looked pale but alert, her eyes bright with unspoken emotion. How many? Tanaka asked simply. Chen understood. We lost 60% of our fleet. The Endeavour team. You and Dr. Singh were the only survivors. Tanaka closed her eyes, absorbing the weight of the loss. When she opened them again, there was steel in her gaze. It was worth it. Tell me we made a difference. Chen took her hand. More than you can imagine, Akira. The galaxy will never be the same. Over the next few months, the consequences of humanity's actions reverberated across the cosmos. On Nilara, human engineers worked alongside Nilari scientists, combining their knowledge to create defenses that would ensure the Vroktar could never threaten them again. In the Galactic Council chambers, Admiral Sarah Chen stood tall, no longer relegated to the back of the room. Her voice carried weight as she negotiated treaties, forged alliances, and yes, occasionally ruffled feathers with humanity's brash but effective methods. Earth itself was transformed. The knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, and that they had the power to shape galactic events, sparked a renaissance in human culture, art, and science. A new sense of unity swept the planet as old rivalries faded in the face of cosmic possibilities. But perhaps the most profound change was in how other species viewed humanity. No longer were they dismissed as primitive or reckless. Now, they were seen as innovators, protectors, and inspirations. Phrases like human ingenuity and earth tenacity entered the lexicon of a dozen alien languages. 1 year after the Battle of Nilara, a grand ceremony was held on Earth. Representatives from across the galaxy gathered to witness the unveiling of a memorial to those who had fallen in the conflict. At its center stood a holographic sculpture, a human hand and a Nilari claw, intertwined in unity. As Admiral Chen laid a wreath at the base of the memorial, she reflected on the words that had started this journey. The humans will help. Such a simple phrase, but one that had altered the course of galactic history. Elder Zixera, her scales now vibrant with renewed life, stepped forward to stand beside Chen. "Your people have given us more than just our lives," she said softly. "You've given us hope for the future." Chen nodded, her gaze fixed on the stars visible through the ceremony hall's transparent dome. "And you've given us purpose, a reason to reach for those stars not just with curiosity, but with compassion." As night fell and the ceremony concluded, Chen found herself alone, looking up at the vast expanse of space. The galaxy no longer seemed like a cold, hostile place. It was full of wonders, challenges, and now, thanks to humanity's courage, new friends and allies. A shooting star streaked across the sky, and Chen smiled. Humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. They had proved themselves on the galactic stage, but the true test lay ahead. To live up to the faith that so many now placed in them, to be not just survivors, but leaders in a vast and complex cosmic community. As she turned to leave, Chen whispered a quiet promise to the night sky. "We'll do you proud, all of you." And somewhere in the great beyond, she could almost imagine the spirits of those who had sacrificed everything to bring them to this moment, nodding in approval. The age of humanity had dawned, and the stars themselves seemed to shine a little brighter in welcome.